Hi everyone, I just wanted to share with you a belated Mother's Day project. I made my mom a card for Mother's Day, but I was not at all happy with how it turned out. It was not one of my best work, I must admit. So I was thinking I wanted to just make this up for her and then send it in the mail to her just to come as a little bit of a surprise after Mother's Day. And so what I'm making is basically some wall art. We make nameplates. I've shown them to you before for our doula clients. They're from the Artistic Mother, and I can put the link to in the down bar of the original video where I showed you how I did it, and we did it on canvas. But this one I am doing on a book cover. It's just a torn book cover. This was the back cover. So I'm going to work on this. I'm using some K & Company Wild Saffron paper, and then just some other embellishments. And then I have a sentiment that I photocopied. It's right here. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. And it was photocopied from the inscription in this old book dated 1920. And it's on raising children, and it says, "To mothers in whose hands lie all of the destinies of all of the years that are to come." And I just love that inscription, so I just photocopied that because I don't want to destroy that book. And that's how it turned out. I used my color photocopier, and it looks just as exactly the same. So I'm going to make a banner out of that. So I'm just going to get started, and I'm also going to make some newsprint flowers, and I've already started them. And I just want to distress them up with some Rusty Hinge, and then that new Peacock, I think it's called Peacock Blue? Oh, Peacock Feathers from Tim Holtz, his new limited edition distressings. So I'll get started with that. So I distressed up my flower, and the flower petals on this were, I photocopied them, their music notes, out of a Stephen Foster script, really old. He's the one that wrote Old Susanna and all of those music. And again, I didn't want to cut up that book, so I just used the music. And then in the center is just a little petaloo flower and some bling. And then I took apart a Gerber daisy from the dollar store, so I'm going to mount that on top of that and place it on the whole display when I'm done. So I've taken my designer paper, and I just used one sheet of that paper, so that's the flip side, and I tore one edge there, and that'll go down there. This is going to go like that, and then this piece will go like that. I think I may use Vintage Photo, probably, and I will ink around the edges. And then I also printed a picture of my mother, and I printed it in black and white so it would be a contrast from the brightness of this page. She loves the color orange. So we're just going to coordinate our flowers and some lace and some beads, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this picture and and paper mounted onto this book cover. So I have my book cover covered, and in the link in the down bar on the original nameplates that I did, you're going to see that I use strips of different pieces of paper, but because this paper already has stripes of different types of paper, you just had to go with the one choice of paper, and that's why I chose that particular one. And I love the colors. They're just a little bit ethnic, and I just think it looks really cool. So I'm wanting to put my mother's picture there. I've got this Recollections embellishments. It's got little tiny pearls and peach flowers, very pretty. So I want to somehow work this a little bit over here and a little bit up there too. So we'll get this figured out, but that's what I'm going to do. And then it's basically the spray is going to be coming from this flower, so it'll be up like that and a bit out like that. And before I do that, I'm going to attach some chocolate brown lace somewhere on this, yeah, probably down here, like so. So I'm going to continue to do that, and I'll be back in a second when I get it all figured out. So I've managed to work on the flower arrangements and that spray of pearls. They're quite easy to split up. They have these little kind of attachment threads. It almost looks like a glue, a little bit thicker than glue from a glue gun thread. And so you can just snip them and it separates the spray. So I put one coming out this way with a little tiny, I'm not sure if you can see the roses, and the lace is there underneath. And then I've got some brown, sort of a warm brown milk chocolate, roses and orange, and then that orange Gerber, and then we go up here with the spray, and then it joins this rose, and the rest, this was the center of that Gerber, and then my mother's picture. So now I'm going to get that little banner of the words that I photocopied right here. So I'm going to make this into kind of a short banner with tea stain distress ink, tea dye, sorry, which is the ink I've used for most of this. It was just a little bit lighter than Vintage Photo, and it worked perfectly. So I will be right back when I get that little banner made. So here is my finished wall hanging for my mom. You know, as the saying goes, better late than never, because my card was just pitiful. So I'm going to mail this to her so it comes as a surprise. So I'll go in close so you can see some of the detail. I added stickle to these little roses here. Stickles, I mean. And then you can see how the pearls sprayed up there. And then the roses there. And then there's my little banner thing. And I just made a hanger out of the lace. There's just a tack in the wall there. And then on the edges, as I mentioned before, I distressed everything with the tea dye distress ink. And so I did that on the edges of the book, especially where the book was torn from the cover. And then on the back, I just used a label punch and just put Happy Mother's Day, Love Monica 2012 on the back. And I knotted, if you can see how I knotted the lace. And for my hole punch, I used my Big Bite. Or you could use a crocodile or any punch that's going to punch through the thickness of a book cover. So there we have it for my mom, who's so sweet. So happy belated Mother's Day to everyone out there, and I hope you like my creation, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.